Hi everybody, my name's Paul Murphy and I've got a passion for hats. I'm going to talk today about a Dunn Co hat. Now, Dunn Co in the UK was started around about 1887, I think it was, by Mr. Dunn. And he went on to open about 300, yes, 300 hat shops here in the UK. So it was at a time when hats were booming and he took advantage of it and became the leading hat company here in the UK. Unfortunately, in the 1990s, it disappeared, and a lot of the shops and the outlets that he had in those days have been turned over to fast food chains and this sort of thing. But anyway, I've got one of his hats here, and as you can see, it's a little bit in need of some work on it. Now I have to say, it's really quite soft, so it's no doubt to me rabbit fur felt, and anyway, let's give it a good old going over. So we're going to start off by getting the dust off it. And some of you have seen it before, but we're going to get the trusty tape out. And oh, there we go. Good portion of tape. Wrap it around my hands. And tonight what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to put it on the block because it is quite grubby, this one. So I'm going to put it on the block and then I'm going to give it a good old dabbing around, and there we are. Let's pull down the brim there. That's it. There we go. You can see, look at all that coming off of there. I don't know whether you can see it, but look at all that. So this is just old dust and well, lots of sort of dusty, dirty stuff coming off the hat. So I'm going to get a fresh piece. And what we're going to do now is we're going to actually take it off there and do the underneath part. So take it off and we're going to go around the edge here, which is a little bit more tricky when I'm trying to show it on camera. Anyway, I'm going to go around the edge and already I can see that the colour of the brown is starting to come through. So that's really nice. So there we are. We got a lot coming off there. So let's now give it a good brush. So back on here. First of all, I've got two types of brushes. This one's a very soft brush, and it's really used by myself to maintain a hat. So if I'm this is my sort of daily hat. It's a Laird hat. It's really soft. Anyway, if I'm going to just brush this up in the morning, I'll just give it a quick brush round and get all the dust and dirt off that the previous day has actually pulled up. I mean, today I was playing grandad duties and we went down to a deer farm where there was lots of dust, and I can just see little bits of dust coming off my hat. So sorry about that. Anyway, there's my hat prepared again. Now let's get on to this one. And this brush, this has got two sides to it. One is a little bit stiffer than the other. So I usually start off with the really stiff one and get most of the dirt off with that. And feel a real good anti-clockwise, remember. I think I've said that before. So start by going around the edge here, all the way around. You can see this one's got a brown gross grain ribbon on the outside, and it's not very thick actually compared to some I've seen. So it's much more of a sort of country general hat, this one. I'm sure you could wear it daily as well as at the weekend with a suit, but I think really it's probably going to end up being used as a sort of hat that will be for country pursuits and what have you. But to be fair, you can pick these hats up, and I've picked this one up specifically to show you how to restore it. But I mean, it was under 20 quid on one of the auction sites, and really, by the time I've finished with this, it will look pretty good. I mean, the thing is, I don't know if you can see in the headlining here is a satin headlining. Now, this headlining is a little bit on the grubby side because it's been worn. So I'm going to give it a steaming, but normally I take those out and soak them in in a washing tablet overnight, and it usually freshens them up really, really well. And then I put them back in, either by sewing them back in or sticking them back in. But this one has a leather sweatband, which over the years has clearly deteriorated. I think you can see the deterioration here. So what I'm going to have to do there is clean the leather and then put some leather binding on it. Now, leather binding is a fluid that will stabilize the leather, and then once it's stabilized, I can then feed it, and whilst it won't bring it back to what it was, it will stop it from getting any worse. So it's certainly worth doing that. So now that we've given this a bit of a brush, I think what we will do is we'll go on to do the inside of the hat. So let's see if the steamer's up and ready yet. Let's have a look. Yep, we're all good. Let's have a look. So I'm just giving it a general steam inside, and I'm going to get a cloth, fairly clean cloth, and give it a rub round and see if that will lift off any of the dirt that's in there. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some of this leather cleaner on here, because it does also lift off other the dirt. So I might have to take this one out actually later, but okay, so let's put a bit more steam in. Right. Okay, so that's going to take a bit more than that to do. So let's give the leather band a bit of a clean. So I'm putting quite a bit of this leather cleaner into the hat band, and as I've said before, it's a leather cleaner that you can buy to restore leather car seats. So nothing out of the ordinary, but it does work quite well. And yeah, here we are. Some of the dirt's coming off. It's unfortunately, so is some of the leather that's cracked. So whether you can see, but that's all come off the hat band inside. Now, this probably needs to. If I was keeping this hat, I'd probably change the sweatband on it inside and stitch a new one in. And by the way, for those of you who haven't seen it before, this is a sewing machine that sews on inner sweatbands. And as you can see, it's got a nice front here where you can put the hat in there, and the brim goes inside, and it can sew up and down. Now this is from about 1886, quite a rare beastie, very, very heavy. But this actual one has been in a factory working every single day for over 100 years. Fantastic bit of kit. Now, getting back to the job in hand, I think I'll steam the rest of the hat, but this is the fibre stabilizer, which you can get from online and from any good leather store. So what I'm going to do is just put a bit of that on here, and we'll see if that can help. What it does is just binds together the leather that's on there, and stops it from flaking. And all you're doing is you really are just pumping it on the leather. So see that? I'm just putting it on the leather as you would any cream, and it should help and bind the remaining fibers together. So let's see how we can give that a bit on here, and there we go. Now I'm pretty sure I'm going to have to put a few layers of this on actually. So I'm going to just leave that for now. Probably. What else? My wife's going to go mad with the dust on the floor tonight. Anyway, right, what we've got here, I've just noticed that inside the sweatband and inside the hat, there is a label. Can you see the label? And that label, it says the size 7 3/8 or a 60. I believe that it shows that it was made in 1989, and it says October Brown, or OCT Brown. So I guess that's a reference to its name and the colour. Right, let's get to put some steam on this, shall we, and freshen it up. Right, there we go. There's me. Gosh, that's hot. You've got to be very careful when you're doing that. Now, just bringing it down onto this block. This block is about a 57 block. So this is a 60 hat, so I can easily get it on there and start shaping it a little bit, which you probably can see that there was a couple of lines here and here from when the crown's been shaped. And I'm just bringing it back to an open crown. And an open crown is when there's nothing folded into the hat. So, and that's where hatters always start from, is an open crown, and they start to form the shape and they steam it into shape, etc. So we're going to have a go doing that. Right. There we go. Right. That's better. So now I can really see the colour coming up on this hat now. It's really lovely to be able to do something like this and make a difference to a hat that, quite frankly, was probably not going to be worn in the state that it was in. And they probably looked at the hat band and thought, nah, this is not worth it. But I could take that hat band out, put another one in, and it really give it an awful lot of life, which is, of course, what I like doing. It's restoring these old hats. So that will just lift out of there. And you can probably see that we've got a bit of a teardrop going on here. So let's put another teardrop. So all we do is we have the front in anyway, and then we're just easing out like this to a teardrop shape. So I'm going to put a bit of steam on and see if I can steam that in. And I'm going to pinch the top here so that we get a nice little front crease in the hat. And let's come and do the back now. So the back, I'm going to bring it down a little bit, and here we are. That's starting to come together quite nicely. How's it looking at the back there? Okay. Right. And then I'll pop it on there to put a bit of a dome back into the teardrop. So let's see if we can run that one. Here we are. Very nice. So you should be able to see and get the light right that we've got a nice teardrop back in the hat. We've got a couple of nice front, there we are, dents in the front there. And let's see if we can, oh yeah, that pops around all right. So let's just give this brim a little bit of a steam. Oops. Here we are. Now, I'm gonna, first of all, I like to be able to steam them in the up position, and that's really so that it can form and be worn that way. But then most people like to snap it down when it's a bit more formal. So this, yeah, that's looking a lot better than it did, and a lot more colourful than it did. Now let's see if it will snap down. It's cooled down a little bit now. So here we are. We've got it snapped down and got some nice shape in it. So this is actually my size of 60, but I've got to check to see. So I get my trusty antique measure out again, and we pop it inside the sweatband, and then we pull the scissors together. And this one is saying 7 1/4. I mean, you can see that there, 7 1/4. So 7 1/4 is about just under 60, I think. So let's just have a look and see if it fits me and what it looks like on. Oh yeah, that's not so bad. So not a big enough brim for me, but actually it's not a bad little hat that. Now that I've done that, let's see how big the brim is. So we've got a brim here that's it's 5.5 centimeters is the brim. The crown at the front here is about 11 centimeters, and at the back it's 10 centimeters. The gross grain ribbon is 2.5 centimeters. So as I say, quite thin. Very typical of what you'd see in the 60s and 70s, but I think this one was a 1989 hat. So it's a fairly sort of modern take on a classic hat, really. So there we are. Let's come down a little bit so you can see. That's sort of how it looks. I think what I'm going to do is to work on the sweatband now, but hopefully that's given you an idea as to how we actually put some life back in these old hats, and yeah, gives you some food for thought going out and buying these less expensive hats that have still got a lot of life in them. If you've got a passion for hats, keep watching the channel. Thank you very much. Cheers. Bye.